When women are young, they think they have all the time in the world, right? You have all the time. You're 25. You're young. You look in the mirror. Your skin is fresh. You feel confident. You go out. You walk down the street and a whole bunch of guys whistling from the construction site. You're like, yeah, I got it. I got it. And then you're 42. You're exhausted. You're alone. And all of a sudden, you're like, I did my whole life wrong. Right? It happens to a lot of women, and increasingly happening to women more and more and more, because of this feminist ideology of postpone, freeze your eggs, you don't need a man. And then they realize, but I want one at 45, and they don't look like they did at 25, and they don't have all those assets that they once had, and now the panic's.
Let's get real for a second. Life has a natural rhythm when it comes to dating, attraction, and timing, a cycle that everyone needs to understand if they actually want to play the game successfully. And yet, so many people act completely blind to it. Here's the hard truth. The only people losing in this scenario are the ones who ignore reality, or worse, choose to live in denial. Men and women alike. Think about it. Younger guys spinning their wheels, chasing. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Are modern men more delusional, or is it the ladies? Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what we expose next. Women who aren't even aligned with their life goals, that's wasted energy. Pure and simple. Every hour spent stressing over someone else is an hour. You're not investing in yourself. The smart move. Focus on your own growth first. Build skills, wealth, confidence, health, whatever makes you the highest value version of yourself. Because when you understand the natural cycles of attraction and timing, suddenly the dating world doesn't feel like a chaotic mess. It's a map. And if you ignore it, you're not just unlucky. You're walking blind into losses you could have avoided. So, this isn't about being cynical, it's about being awake, understanding cycles, knowing your worth, and refusing to waste precious time chasing illusions.
As you see women waiting, they're waiting. Well, I want to focus on my career. I want to focus on my degree. I want to be successful. Nothing wrong with that. But what happens is they get to 30 and they have an epiphany. They're like, oh shit, I got to hurry up. Mm-hmm. Like we had a guest on here, I won't say the name,
Timeline.
35 years old, childless, no husband. You're at that, we call it hitting the wall.
Yeah.
And then they become negative around it and start saying men are shitty, men are douchebags. And then they get in their 40s and they end up on TikTok talking shit at 40 years old, which is pointless, right? What did you do in your 20s? And this is another thing. It's interesting on planning. Watch this, Sean. And I know you get this. You talk to men, you say plan. You counsel women, plan. I ask a woman on the show, what's your 2 to 5 year plan? I don't know. You don't know.
But yet you want a quality man.
You're 35 years old.
Modern women will go to a high-priced institution, get a degree that nobody cares about to put themselves in a whole bunch of debt, and will burden them for the rest of their lives. All they learn in school is how to be disagreeable and how to use men. Number 2, modern women will get a job that is too stressful and does not care about them. In reality, the job isn't that hard or stressful, but the women will convince themselves that it is. 3, modern women will feel entitled to a certain lifestyle when they begin their careers and will buy houses and cars they can't afford.
Now, let's talk about a truth that rarely gets said out loud. In the dating world, women are born with certain advantages, a natural currency, if you will. Beauty, femininity, the ability to carry life itself. These are things society automatically values in women from day one. They come preloaded. Men, on the other hand, it's the exact opposite. Men don't get handed a dating advantage at birth. They have to earn their value. Wealth, status, confidence, skills, these are built over years, sometimes decades, and require effort, sacrifice, and consistency. No shortcuts. And here's where a lot of modern confusion comes in. Too many men forget this fundamental difference and expect instant attraction or automatic respect. Meanwhile, some women act shocked when men aren't immediately all in, forgetting that for men, value is constructed, not inherited. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about clarity. Understanding this dynamic is like having the cheat codes to life. Recognize it, and you stop wasting time chasing illusions or expecting things to be equal in ways that just aren't natural. Men, build yourselves up. Women, understand the power you naturally hold. And both sides respect the reality of the exchange or risk getting burned by it. Here's the part no one ever really teaches you when you're young. The rules of attraction, value, and timing are not written in books. They're lessons you pick up the hard way, usually through trial, error, and a lot of disappointment. For men, the awakening can be especially brutal. You start realizing why women your age might scroll past you for some older guy, the one with a solid career, a luxury car, a bank account that funds vacations, and designer bags delivered like clockwork. And let's be honest, it's not personal. It's just a reflection of how value works in the dating marketplace. See, life isn't fair, but it's predictable. Women get their natural advantages early on, while men have to build theirs deliberately. And the reality is, if you've been living blind to this, every heartbreak, every rejection feels like a shock when really it's just part of the cycle you weren't taught to navigate. The takeaway: don't waste your early years chasing illusions. Build, grow, and understand the system. Because once you do, the dating world doesn't seem chaotic. It just becomes a game you can actually play on your terms.
Well, I'm alone again. I'm going to a bar again. Just for one drink, it'll be fine. Here's the fit. It's comfy, it's versatile.
Let's cut through the noise and get blunt when it comes to dating. Men are simple calculators, whether society wants to admit it or not. Strip away the distractions, and most guys are primarily evaluating three things in a woman: looks, age, and her partner history. That's it. Nothing else comes close to this baseline. Now, here's the kicker. All three of these factors naturally favor younger women. Fewer partners. Check. Peak fertility check. The societal perks of youth. Double check. It's not shallow. It's biology and simple math wrapped into one brutal reality. For men, filtering out women above a certain age isn't about cruelty or judgment. It's about aligning preferences with reproductive and evolutionary imperatives that we don't consciously think about. And yet, very few men are taught this, and even fewer women acknowledge it openly. Instead, the conversation gets clouded with standards and preferences, when in reality, it's just hardwired human behavior. Understanding this isn't about cynicism. It's about clarity. Recognizing the rules allows both men and women to navigate dating without illusions, and maybe even without the heartbreak that comes from ignoring them.
Is it that the patriarchy society has made it that, men age like fine wine, but women age like prunes, and when the menopause kicks, we're all dead.
I don't think that came from patriarchy. That came from women.
Oh?
And I'll say that because it's women who express desires for qualities that older men have. That's where it's like men age like fine wine. It's not men that said that, it's women. The sexiest man alive for like the past 7-8 years running has been men over the age of 40. George Clooney was, Brad Pitt, I think Idris Elba. These are all men over the age of 40. So the whole thing that men age like fine wine has always come from women. It's never come from men.
Let's break this down. Men age like fine wine. And no, that's not just a cheesy line. It's a reality rooted in time, experience, and growth. As men get older, they naturally become more financially stable. Years of grinding, building careers, and learning the ropes start to pay off literally. But it's not just money. Experience brings confidence, self-determination, and emotional maturity. Suddenly, decisions aren't reckless or impulsive. They're calculated, deliberate, and intentional. That kind of presence. Women notice it, they respond to it. It's magnetic. This is why older men often start attracting attention they never had in their early 20s. It's not magic, it's math and life experience combined with self-improvement. For younger men feeling frustrated, take note. Growth isn't just about the bank account. It's about becoming someone who commands respect and signals value naturally. The takeaway: men, focus on building your life. Women, recognize the value maturity brings. And both sides, stop pretending this isn't part of the equation, because ignoring it only leads to confusion, frustration, and missed opportunities.
One of my favorite moves to tell a guy when he was cutting things off with me is that you said something. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Like for example, if someone texted you and was like, hey, like I just think we're better as friends. Well, you know, like or I don't like see this going wherever. Oh, I'm so glad you said something. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Roasted. Oh.
So thanks for letting me know. I didn't want to be the one to break your heart first. Of course, because poor thing, she was going to leave him too. But she was so considerate she waited for him to have the courage to say it. This is classic ego defense manual. She neither wanted him cared, but oh, how convenient that he spoke up first. A true masterpiece of I'm always in control, even if only in her own mind. And
let's be real. Men age better for a very simple reason. Back in their 20s, many guys are overlooked. Why? Lack of experience, limited resources, and life still being a work in progress. At that stage, women often swipe left on potential because the value just isn't there yet. Fast forward a few years, and everything changes. Older men have had time to align their priorities, build financial stability, and gain life experience. They're no longer that inexperienced, uncertain guy from their early 20s. They've leveled up. And here's the kicker. That maturity doesn't just attract women their age, it attracts younger women too. It's not about manipulation or tricks. It's simple biology and social dynamics. Experience, confidence, and resources naturally make a man more desirable. And society tends to overlook this when preaching equality or love knows no age, but the reality is clear. Men who invest in themselves over time often win in ways they couldn't have imagined in their youth. So, the lesson: don't panic if your 20s feel rough. Growth, patience, and focus on building your life create opportunities that youth alone can't deliver. Men age like fine wine, and it only gets better with time.
Going to be more attractive at 26 than now at 21.
I don't think my husband should care whether or not I'm hotter at 21 or hotter at 26. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but
I'm asking you in general.
The younger I am, obviously, the more being in my 30s, like I'll be my most attractive in my 20s. But that doesn't mean that that's going to stop me from finding a man when I'm older.
Would you agree that your chances will decrease as you get older?
As you get older, it could be harder to find.
Wouldn't it be better to leave the casino when you're up $1 million versus leaving with only $500K?
Yeah.
So why would you wait?
What do you?
Here's a reality check a lot of people miss. Women generally prefer men their age or older and tend to avoid younger guys. That means as men naturally age, their dating pool doesn't shrink, it actually grows. Take college as a perfect example. Freshman guys are mostly looking at freshman girls, same age, same social circle. But by senior year, senior guys often find themselves interested in freshman girls. Suddenly, the options explode. Age brings experience, confidence, and stability, and those qualities make men appealing to a much wider group than they had access to when they were younger. The inverse is true for women. If they're actively avoiding younger men, their pools start shrinking with age, especially if they're fixated on high-value men who are older or established. It's simple math wrapped in social dynamics, yet it's rarely talked about openly. The takeaway: men, aging doesn't mean losing options. It means unlocking a bigger field of opportunity. Women, understand how your preferences shape the dating market and why ignoring the natural flow of attraction can lead to frustration down the line.
You never supposed to trust these girls out here, bro. Never trust a girl. These girls would cheat on you, lie to you, straight to your face, bro. It happened to me. They would lie to you straight to your face and cheat on you straight to your face.
I'm different.
Here's a reality that often gets swept under the rug. Most women between 18 and 22 just aren't that interested in 30-year-old men unless there's serious financial stability involved. It's not about being mean or shallow. It's about priorities, life stage, and what each person values at that age. What's interesting is how this shifts over time. A man who's 30 might actually have fewer chances with a 19-year-old than he did when he was 22. The dating market moves with biology, maturity, and opportunity. Younger women are selective in ways that make sense for their stage of life. They're looking for peers, energy, and experiences, not necessarily older men, unless he brings serious resources to the table. Flip it around to social media dating apps today, and the numbers tell the story. The majority of matches for a 30-year-old guy are going to be women above 27, the demographic that aligns with his age, experience, and stability. The lesson: timing matters. Understanding it saves frustration and helps you play the dating game smarter, not harder.
Like fine wine, and men only hit their prime in their 30s. Men's peak, I think, really, especially if you take care of yourself physically, because that's also a big factor of it, 32 to 40. Yeah. Right? You know, I have so many years to be an incredible father, an incredible husband, so.
Let's clear the air on something a lot of younger men take personally. When you were in your early 20s and getting rejected left and right, it wasn't because you weren't a good guy. It wasn't because you lacked value. It was because the women you were interested in were in their prime, at the peak of youth, beauty, and options. They had choice, and plenty of it. Now, here's the interesting part. We're talking about men who age well. The reality is that most guys don't suddenly lose desirability as they get older. In fact, for the majority, the dating pool expands with age. Sure, there's a small portion, maybe a third, who will deal with things like hair loss or other factors that affect perceived attractiveness. For those men, the options might tighten. But for the rest, experience, confidence, and stability often outweigh the fleeting advantages of youth. The lesson here is brutal but freeing. Rejection in your 20s doesn't define your long-term value. In fact, aging strategically, building your life, and growing your social and financial capital often flips the script entirely. The tables turn, and the guys who were overlooked early on often become the ones holding the real power later. Let's get brutally honest. Men naturally gravitate toward fertile women. It's not some conspiracy or shallow preference. It's biology in action. Reproductive fitness for women peaks in their early 20s and begins a noticeable decline once they hit 30. That's just a fact of life, and it's something men are wired to recognize, even subconsciously. Now, for men, the curve isn't nearly as steep. Experience, resources, and social status can compensate for age in ways that biology doesn't let women do as easily. That's why you see older men still attracting younger partners, while women often face a more pressing biological timeline. This isn't meant to shame anyone. It's about clarity. Understanding these realities allows both men and women to make smarter choices and avoid the frustration that comes from ignoring hard truths about age, fertility, and attraction.
Tell him what you want and see if he can consistently do what you want before you put out.
Let's talk about what women instinctively value: security. Not just emotional support, though that matters too, but real, tangible financial security. In today's world, that usually translates to a man who's established in his career, earning steadily, and capable of providing stability. Here's the pattern. Most men start earning seriously around age 30, and their income, influence, and confidence generally grow from there. That's why older men often appear more attractive. It's not just about money. It's about signaling competence, responsibility, and reliability. Interestingly, studies back this up. Men tend to be happier as they age, benefiting from the confidence and resources they've built over time. Women, on the other hand, often peak in happiness during the prime of their youth. It's another reflection of how biology, social structures, and life stages shape attraction and fulfillment for both genders. The takeaway: understanding these patterns isn't cynical, it's strategic. Men, invest in yourself over the long term. Women, recognize how timing and security factor into attraction. And everyone, stop pretending life operates without these natural rhythms. It simply doesn't.
Being in your late 20s is so hard. I've seen a few people talk about this and just kind of the loneliness of your late 20s, and especially people who are kind of in this middle stage of, hey, I'm not married, don't have kids, not in a relationship, but I'm also not going out every weekend. I spend a lot of my time by myself. I live alone. I come home from work, I go to the gym, I spend my evenings alone. And on the weekend lately, I feel like I've been so exhausted that all I want to do is like spend time by myself. And I'm struggling with questions about work, you know, Am I passionate about what I'm doing? Am I good at it? Should I be traveling right now and not working? Or should I be trying to work remotely so that I can travel? Like, there's just all these things that I think I would like to experience. And it's hard to know, well, when am I going to experience those?
Here's a simple yet brutal truth about dating dynamics. Every freshman guy who's crushing on an upperclassman is essentially competing with senior men who already have experience, confidence, and status. That freshman girl he's eyeing, one less option for him because older guys swoop in naturally. And this cycle doesn't stop. It keeps repeating. Men get overlooked not because they're bad people or lacking effort, but because they're simply operating at a lower tier in terms of experience, confidence, and social value. That's why so many men feel invisible to women in their early years. The dating pool isn't shrinking. It's just stacked against them until they level up. The takeaways: youth comes with limitations, but growth changes the game. Understanding these patterns helps men stop wasting time on impossible targets and focus on building the version of themselves that commands attention naturally.